Welcome to Parkdale. My name is Red Sandliner. This is John Colautti. And joining us this afternoon for a tour of Parkdale and its architecture and history is going to be Ella Kiefer. We're in my backyard this time, and we're going to be going through some of the homes around Parkdale, visiting some of the important sites, and talking a little bit about life in the community. So join us, will you? Thanks. Well, we're here at Melbourne Place, and I'm with Al Kiefer. Alec, can you give us a little bit of an idea of the history of Melbourne Place? It's very interesting and beautiful.
There are two unique experiments in building homes in Parkdale based on a cul-de-sac. One we're in now is Melbourne Place. The other one is Trenton Terrace off Cowan. This is the sort of housing that you found in the core of the downtown. It's attached row housing. And in Melbourne Case's place, the windows are sashed in 6/6, which refers to the Georgian tradition building.
So 6 panes, six panes, upper and lower sashes, I see.
And that sort of penetration and the regularity of the opening, the even spacing of the windows and the doors, refers to the Georgian tradition building, which predated, of course, most of all the Victorian, with which Parkdale is synonymous.
What's the date of Melbourne Place, approximately?
Melbourne Place was built in the late 1870s.
So that's after, this is more Victorian period, but was after another style,
yes,
you're saying, a Georgian style.
We probably have an older builder who continued to build what he knew. And this is what this represents his experience in building, and it represented speculative development for rent, not for sale. As opposed to most of South Parkdale housing is not speculative. It's actually
for owners or by owners. I see.
The current residents do an excellent job of maintenance, and it was only a few years ago that two gas lanterns were added in the middle of Melbourne Place.
And some of these doors are very interesting that are here. I really noticed the knockers almost look original. I don't know whether they are or not, but we have a lot of interesting doors and mounting on these places. Is the way that this was laid out in this courtyard fashion, was that original to the site?
No, the landscaping now reflects current usage. There would have been a very narrow sidewalk coming down the center, and then from that central sidewalk, there would have been a walk up to each of the houses with a patch of grass. But Parkdale are all such avid gardeners that now the current residents have put a great deal of effort into the landscaping, a lot of perennials. We're with Barry Trim, who's the owner of 37 Melbourne, and we ruptured Barry in his landscaping this morning. Notice that he's a member of the famous Parkdale Horticultural Society, the largest best-operated horticultural society in Ontario. Right?
That's what I hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Barry's house is a typical high 1880, almost a vernacular second empire. It's second empire because of the use of the mansard roof, usually a slate or tiled mansard roof with projecting dormer windows. This form of housing in Parkdale we refer to as Coatsworth cottages. He was a developer. In speculative housing, he built pairs of attached houses, all for South Parkdale. Barry's home is one of the few that actually survives almost intact, including its porch and columns.
Now, this seems quite interesting. Tell me about this.
This is typical of medium-sized house that was constructed during the town period in Parkdale. It sits on over a 40-foot lot, and it has windows on the side of the house. And we're very fortunate that it stayed so much intact. Consistent quality, a very solid construction. The woodwork is in amazing condition, and it had been lovingly restored by a series of owners and maintained in such good condition.
Now, this woodwork, you're talking about even painted surfaces?
That's right. This would be pine, and the carving on it reflects the arts and crafts movement. Notice that there's a leaf motif up in the blocks on most of the principal doorways downstairs. A remarkable feature are the pocket doors that connect the three principal rooms on the ground floor. Another remarkable feature is this house has three principal rooms, as well as kitchen on the ground floor. This would actually be the formal parlor at the front of the house. As I mentioned before, one of the unique features of this type of house park is that there is an informal parlor at the back behind the pocket doors. Remarkable in downstairs is that each of the center of the ceilings would have had a gas fixture originally, lighting fixture, but the center of each of the ceiling there is a plaster medallion, and which is unique, and it's a celebration of flowers and a geometric pattern. The mantelpiece is strong and imposing and has been beautifully restored by the current owner.
look at the staircase.
Tell me about that. One of the unique features of houses of this period in Parkdale is the form of a small reception area here that complements and uses the staircase as a background for welcoming people in your home. Another custom feature in this house is when they incorporated pocket doors in the walls, they used the space above that contains the pocket to create a plate rail to display porcelain and china. This is used here very effectively in the hall, in the dining room, and in the informal parlor. Matching the plaster medallions in the ceilings are the stained glass windows in the hall in a geometric pattern with very basic Victorian palette of colors. But throughout the house, we find incredible attention to detail. Notice the recessed panels here in the doors upstairs are in tone and groove. That's a fairly remarkable feature, and found on all doors on the second floor. It now opens to an amazing modern bathroom with a sunken tub and some more beautiful etched glass. One of the rooms that in most Parkdale homes is the most changed is the kitchen, and this is an exciting design and has many custom features. Note the ice box that it was painted on modern refrigerator door. The current owners have just expanded the kitchen even more by adding a conservatory which goes out into their backyard.
Well, Alec, I noticed that a lot of these houses in Parkdale really lend themselves to a lot of architectural features that you just couldn't get today. Is that true?
You notice that many of the owners, when they are renovating and restoring houses, will use original features with new materials. And a unique feature in this house is the panel roof ceiling, which accurately reflects what would have been an original kitchen.
Well, Alec, here we are in another house. Again, look at this. This is quite nice. You want to tell me about this home? It's quite lovely.
This was built in the early 1890s, and much of the detail on the inside reflects the fact that the Edwardian influence started to insert itself into Victorian architecture, and there's repeated use of classism in this house that you wouldn't find in a typical high Victorian home. One of the motifs that's used is the swag ornamentation, which is visible here on the mantelpiece, and also it's repeated in the frieze course that runs around the top of the walls. The wood in the front part is all walnut, which is a very rare feature in this period. Not only is trim walnut, but also there are pocket shutters that pull up from below the windows and protect this west-facing room from the strong setting sun. Yeah, we have two very stylized pilasters on either side of the fireplace. Again, that classicism being reinserted into Victorian life. And there are campus leaves and berries to create the capital, and then ripe fruit is hanging on the shaft of the pilaster, and a ribbon is tied by the ribbon of celebration, which also, of course, refers to the use of the swag ornamentation elsewhere in the room.
Here we are. We're standing in the front hall right now, and we're looking at these wonderful woodworkings that are above the doors, wood trim, and we see it looks like to be oak. Is that right, Alex?
That's right. Unlike in the living room where we saw walnut, in the public area in homes this period, quarter cut oak would be used because it's so durable and strong, and because so much traffic in public areas, you don't want the wood to show wear and tear. And that, of course, includes the magnificent staircase that runs right through all three floors of the house, quarter cut oak, and the stairs open out to receive you in a very generous manner. The wall of the hall has a baseboard, and then there's a fabric has been put on the plaster to protect it, no paneling, and there is finally it's finished with piece of oak, and a very elementary recessed series of circles is carved in the oak. Again, that classicism coming back and being reinserted into the life of high Victorian. The doors on the ground floor are finished with an exaggerated capital across the top, and most of the doors have clear-cut pockets doors that slide away, and that is more living space, but you don't have the constant optical of an open door cutting into the available space in the room inside.
Here we are again in another dining room. By looking at this room, I can certainly see a lot of detail that was used in the early part of the century. I noticed that the plaster has got a lot of little detailings. Do you want to describe all that to me?
The frieze in this room uses Adamesque detail, Adamesque classicism. One of the strongest design elements, as in living room, is the fireplace. And here we have the body of the fireplace is in glazed brick. And the fire pit is very understated, but where the coals would be, there at the bottom, there is a small warming oven, which on the surface of the door of it is hummingbirds and morning glories. Right. So that would be a custom feature. And then, of course, the floor in front of the fireplace is in glazed tiles, which match perfectly the color and the size of the tiles on the face of the fireplace itself. This was designed by George M. Miller and Company. George M. Miller was a very prominent architect officer downtown. He's responsible for a great many homes especially prior to 1900, and many commercial buildings. He was the architect, for example, for the Gladstone Hotel and for Parkdale First Collegiate and for the original King Victoria Public School. The kitchen floor has to be very, very durable because it takes massive moisture and a lot of wear and tear. And this is actually inch-thick maple, which is rare in a residential home. More common in Sydney, this is used in halls and public buildings of the period. This was another serious commitment to quality, and it shows the degree to which this home was customized for the first owners.
Well, Alf, we're just going up to the second floor. We're not even there. Look at stained glass. Now, tell me about the stained glass. This is quite interesting.
Yes. The front hall of houses of this size and this age, the actual room refers to the great halls in medieval houses in Europe. And the great hall was the grand public two-story room that you feasted in. And the architect quite clearly knows what he's doing when he designed this house, because the family, the architect would have designed and commissioned this stained glass of knight in armor. This is the sort of heraldry, family history that the family and the architect have inserted into the home, and to clearly refer to the fact that this huge entrance area is related to the great hall of medieval castles. This design is actually commenting on the quote medievalism of that window. This is an Edwardian piece. A small angel is in guard playing a pan flute sitting under an urn.
Here we are on the second floor. I noticed this door has a transom up. Why is that? I didn't notice transoms before. Tell me.
The transoms were used at this time on bedrooms. They provided light and ventilation, but they guaranteed privacy for people inside. They aren't downstairs because if people wanted ventilation and light, they would just simply leave the door open. The wood on this floor is pine, and you would expect that on a second floor because there's much less traffic. It's in a softer wood, easier to work with. And the doors are in 6 panel. Here, a long structure and 2 cubes, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, again reinserting the classicism that's common in the period. No. 22 Elm Grove is a typical Ontario cottage found from the Ottawa Valley all the way over Windsor. And it's remarkable in that everywhere that it was built, it reflects the local materials that were available. Constructed in the late 1870s, originally it was built right on the ground and had a coat, a skin, rough cast and stucco. Subsequent to the time, the house was elevated, brick foundation put in, the house itself was covered in bricks, and a brick porch was added. Note the very intricate barge board up the gable, which the unfortunate Gothic window was obscured, and also notice that the current owner has replicated the original frame porch and installed a magnificent display of wrought iron fencing. '47 and '49 Auburn represent variation on a theme. They are in fact the same house, built by the same builder. Number 47 on the corner, though, showed most of its original woodwork. Important in the design of the gables is what's called the sunburst pattern. Notice the brackets that are come under the eaves, and you find those lines radiating out from the center in the bracket. That is the sunburst, and it's key decorative motif on this type of house, which is modified Queen Anne. The second house, number 49, has an Edwardian porch on it, and the second story of the Edwardian porch has been rebuilt to obviously accommodate expanded use in the second floor. We're on Common Avenue. This is 104, 6, 8, and 10. These houses were designed in the early 1890s by an architect named Robert Oglethorpe. And most of his homes in the Toronto region display an excellent use of carved stone and brickwork. And I'll draw your attention to the gable on the top of the house, and you'll notice those series of bricks that step out from the bay window. That's called brick corbelling, and that brick corbelling is some of the best in the city of Toronto. It's an engineering feature because every layer of brick steps out beyond the one below it, and it has to gain its support from the first brick at the bottom of the layer. All the windows in the Romanesque arch in the ground floor, this stained glass has been redesigned by a contemporary owner. Here we are, 54 and 56 Common, pair of Edwardian houses, and we note the strong use of classicism, especially in the porches, but also up in the gable. Gable front, facing the street, has finished with a flourish motif up at top of the point of the gable. The port columns are probably of a catalog. The one on the right, painted white, is a series of circles, which much like the corbelled brick, each one builds on the one below. The one on the left has a Victorian capital painted black, an exaggeration of the classical capital that would be on a true classic revival house. Okay, Trenton Terrace is the second experiment in basic downtown housing for the village of Parkdale. Originally 12 frame cottages attached with gables over their doors, were built in 1883, 1884. This was before Common Avenue was actually laid out, so these 12 cottages stared down at the lake, and you gained access from Springhurst. They had front yards then. When Common Avenue was put through, number 2 had to be demolished, the first house, because it was in the way of the street. Only the one on the end, number 4, still has its original windows with either elliptical tops. Through 1 through 7 Common Avenue, remarkable experiment just before the First War. 4 cottages designed to look like they belong in the English countryside. A custom designed job. They appear to be two pair of attached, and in fact they are one contiguous building. One of the remarkable features are the elliptical eyebrow windows, which are actually ventilations for the 3rd floor. 47 to 49 Common show how detailed window slashing can be if you really want to try hard. Notice the trinity of windows, probably in the dressing room for the bedroom, and then also notice top sash with the lozenge-shaped sections in the master bedroom. We have 2 houses in dramatically different states of repair. One is already been tidied up and has a paint job, and the other one is looking for his. 133 Dunn, a very intriguing house, built in early 1880s. It's an excellent example of the Italianate. One of the main features of the Italian style is the tower. The tower provided people with view down to the lake. Originally, massive porches would have covered almost all ground floor and provided views as well down through the land over toward the Humber Bay. There's beautiful terracotta on this building in span row between the first and second windows and the keystones on the 2nd floor. 139 141 Dunn, a very early 1881 buff brick house. Here the brick mason has used red bricks in a series of patterns to create texture on their otherwise flat surfaces. Porches would originally have joined the 2 bay windows on the ground floor. Both doorways are not original. Doorways have been worked in both houses. 208 Dunn Avenue was built in 1889 for James Hunter. That's where we get the magnificent tiled H in the roof slate. It was designed by George M. Miller and Company. You may have heard of 39B. 39B was another Miller creation, as was the Gladstone Hotel. 208 Dunn Avenue is an excellent textbook example of the Queen Anne style in Ontario. 208 still sports the correct colors for the Queen Anne in Ontario, the red, the brown, and the white.
Here we are on another house tour, and we're here to see Don. So come on in, let's speak to Don. Oh, Don.
Hi, John.
How are you doing?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Wow, we're here in your lovely home.
And it is lovely, isn't it?
And it's nice you have a 2nd floor. This is 2nd and the 3rd floor?
This is the 2nd, yeah, and the 3rd floor is an open attic type space. And downstairs I have 2 apartments.
Now, how old is this house, do you know?
The best of my knowledge is it was built in 2 sections, which you can see. 1850, the older part, and the new part here, 1872.
Wow, it certainly looked like a fabulous house from the exterior.
This room sort of became a parlor at one point when the house was divided up at the turn of the century. But I suspect it was originally a master bedroom for the lord and lady of the house. It's one of the more spacious bedrooms, and we've got a fireplace here, which would have been essential,
Right.
for anyone in those days. And we also have this door always existed as well. It's sort of a walkout to a patio out there. And furthermore, one really unusual thing is the fact that there's sort of little adjoining connecting hallway that kind of meanders a bit.
Right.
And that, we would say, would have been a nursery so that Mom was nearby.
Now we're on the 3rd floor. And tell us a bit about this 3rd floor.
Well, when I first came here 7 years ago, this didn't exist in this form at all. It was empty, unused attic, plank across the floor, and it was just general decrepitude.
Okay. Now what have you done to it?
Just converted it all into basically one great room.
We're here at another house. Actually, we're in the front entrance. The house has just been converted from bachelorettes, which are small little apartments, to a big apartment. So come on in and let's take a look. Here we are on the 2nd floor of Victorian home. A normal Victorian home has a master bedroom, a 2nd bedroom, and sometimes a small den or another bedroom. Right now, this home has been converted into a living room and dining room. This unit also contains a kitchen and a bathroom, with, of course, additional bedroom space on the other floors. Right now, we'll show you living room and dining room, what has been done to it to bring it into the condition of full, modern, but but still the flavor of Victorian. If you notice on the fireplace, it's carved metal and it has a lot of detail, and most of this detail is produced from the Victorian era. Right now, if you notice, the marble and the stain is matching. Because of restoration work, we brought it back to the original color. Before that, this metal was actually very black because the stain and the varnish had black in it, which gave it an appearance of a black piece of wood, which really didn't have life and luster. This cover is actually a firebox cover. And the idea, what it's supposed to do is, if you're going to retire at night, you can put the cover on and let the flames go, burning themselves out through the ventilation underneath. And also, in summertime, it makes it wonderful. You won't have to look at an ash pit. So it's a dual function purpose firebox. Originally, an old window that was here, and it was replaced with this stained glass. This stained glass has many cut pieces of colored glass in it. Right now, you'll notice that there is also a frosted glass and bevel glass. When the sun comes through, this is quite an astounding window to look at.
This was one of the last houses built in Parkdale by George M. Miller and Company, and it's a great essay in stone and brick. Particularly attractive is the stone bracket that supports the oriel window between the first and second floors. Stone here is carved very similar to designs of Louis Sullivan in Chicago. The stone carving reflects the book of Kells and the song Gaelic influences. Especially prominent is corbelling atop of the main chimney. Notice how the bricks, each layer of brick, steps out slightly beyond the one below to create a crown that sits on top of the chimney. 32 BD was built in 1878 by James Smart Lockheed. Mr. Lockheed was the treasurer of the town of Parkdale. The house is intriguing when you drive down B, but what makes it even more intriguing is when you realize that the building we see from B is in fact the rear of the house. Originally, 32B took its number off King Street, and it would have been a broad circular drive coming from King and turning around in front of the house. With over 8,800 square feet, it's also the largest house in Parkdale. At one time, a series of palatial large homes lined the lakeshore from Roncesvalles all the way over to CNE. They were built to take advantage of the view of Humber Bay on large estate lots. 30BD is the only one that survives. The bay window on the back, the two-story bay window with the open porch on the back, is an 1892 addition. The house is in fact a modified Georgian plan. That's if we go around to the front, look up at it, there's a tower on the front, and then there are even number of windows to the left and to the right of the tower.
I want to thank everyone for letting us go into their homes and take a peek at what they have and letting everyone see what Parkdale is all about. And I'd particularly like to thank Alec Kiefer for giving us the whole historical tour. And Fred, what do you think about Parkdale after just viewing it?
Well, it makes me a lot more enthusiastic about our community, certainly. It's given me a whole new perspective of the history and the architecture that Alec has provided. And it's another piece of the puzzle of Parkdale that I think we'll all appreciate a lot more. And I hope that people will come down and be able to take in some of the more valuable pieces of Parkdale that we all enjoy here. So we welcome everyone.
And thank everyone.
Good night.
Good night.